So I got a curly cut. I have to be honest with y'all. I have been sitting on this curly cut for about 2 months. And I literally haven't said anything about it on this channel. So consider this a reintroduction to my curly cut era. Here's the thing, y'all. I did not get this curly cut because my hair was struggling. My hair was actually doing really well. I got it because, well, first off, if you have not heard, I have actually made a move from Denver, Colorado to North Carolina. And so one of the main reasons why I decided to get a curly cut was because I was about to move from a climate that is super dry to a climate that has a lot of humidity in the air. And I know that based off the humid air, that there are just certain styles that don't work well for me when I'm in humidity. One of those styles for me being twist outs. And that's a style outside of protective styling that I wear basically 24/7. Twist outs and humidity for me have never mixed. I think it's because, essentially a twist out is not your natural curl pattern. And as soon as my hair hits the humidity, when my hair is in a twist out, it just gets undefined, it gets frizzy, it literally turns into a hot mess. So I knew that the best way for me to wear my hair out in North Carolina was to go with my natural curls. But if you have been following me on this journey, you know I am not necessarily a wash and go queen. I have had periods of time in my life where I've gone to a wash and go, but for the most part, I'm wearing a twist out or protective style 90% of the time. So I wanted to kind of get back into doing wash and goes. Not to mention, this channel is all about simplicity, about doing less but better for your hair. And what that has meant for me has been less products, less steps in your routine, less manipulation, less to all of the things. And one of the ways that I think actually can achieve less in your routine is by doing a wash and go. Not necessarily the wash and go I used to do, which used to take me literally 14 business days to complete and then another 20 to dry. But the new era of wash and go where I can wash my hair and dry my hair in a reasonable amount of time. So I challenged myself. I said, hey, you're going to get this curly cut, so you're going to have a bomb shape. And if you can just commit to doing wash and goes for a couple of months and see how they go, I guarantee they'll get better. The more moisture you put in, the more work you put in, the better the wash and goes will become. At least that's what I told myself. And so I committed. I ended up being able to get a last minute appointment before I headed out to NC. Y'all, when I tell you, she did her thing. I lost a lot of length because, and I'll attach pictures here so you can see. My hair was really long, which I thoroughly enjoyed in its long flat iron state. It was giving goals, but in my natural hair state, there were just uneven pieces. It just didn't look good. So I decided to get cut, and my salon experience was great. She has her own salon. It's located in Denver. I'll put all of her details below. She always hooks me up. She's really understanding of my hair goals and the fact that I do want to keep as much length as possible. And in general, we just have a fantastic time chatting it up. And so if you are looking for a curly hairstylist in the Denver area, then look up Robin. I'll put her information down below in the description. But essentially, she gave me my curly cut, and I'm not gonna lie, when I first got home, I loved the shape of it, but I did have to come to terms with losing so much length. I think when you have started to grow your hair out so long, seeing it back shorter just kind of, jars you a little bit, and you're like, man, I'm gonna miss that. And it took me a couple of weeks to get used to. But I tell y'all, when I finally got to North Carolina, this was absolutely the right move. So anybody who lives over here in the South knows that the humidity is crazy. And so the first thing that my hair did was it puffed up immediately. And I had no definition. It just looked wild. But the shape was still shaping. And it was still giving me something, even though the hair was puffy. I know that curly cuts get a bad rap in the natural hair community. There has been a lot of talk surrounding the fact that curly cuts don't get all of your ends. And I understand that perspective, right? Because they're cutting for a look. They're not necessarily cutting for health. And so I do get the concept that if you were to blow dry or straighten your hair, they can see all of the ends, they can cut all of the ends and make sure everything's even, uniform, and starting from the same place. But, and this is my big but, I trim my ends fairly regularly on my own. So I don't ever feel like my ends have gotten to a point where they have need a stylist care, really. I understand that a curly cut is for aesthetics. But I feel like my stylist, at least in Robin, I've never gotten a curly cut from her where I felt like my ends were worse off or that there was significantly something missing. The benefits of having a curly cut, besides it just looking really great, is that if you are in those really humid climates where your hair can't necessarily keep definition, it will make sure that even if your hair is puffy, you have a beautiful shape. And I think that is so totally underrated because even in the days here where I'm looking at my hair and it's an absolute puffball, I'm still getting compliments. Women are still stopping me saying, your hair looks great. My husband is still saying, your hair looks beautiful. And so sometimes it's not necessarily about the definition, it's about the shape. And so on that humidity point, I do have to say that actually humidity has not been my enemy here. I have actually learned to love wash and goes in a way that I never ever thought possible, y'all. I never thought I would be that girl that would wear wash and goes 24/7. Like there is this natural hair guru here on YouTube. I think her name is Natural Rain. But for years she's been saying wash and goes grew her hair, how low maintenance wash and goes were for her. And I always was like, yeah, maybe for you. But I haven't fallen into my wash and go era. I honestly think one of the reasons why I didn't have good looking wash and goes in Denver was because it was so dry. Like I was always struggling to put moisture back into my hair. I was always struggling to keep my hair moisturized. And wash and goes thrive. Your curl pattern pops when your hair is thoroughly moisturized, when it's juicy, when it's getting the moisture. And I think the North Carolina humidity has just plumped up my curls, given me definition I didn't even know I had. I have just never had wash and goes this good with such little effort. And honestly, my hair has just been overall thriving. I think that this season has gotten me to appreciate this wash and go era. And I'm trying to see if doing less to my hair but treating it better in this way in a wash and go state can get me the results that I want and the length retention that I want while still wearing my hair out and about. If you are interested at all in how this wash and go journey will unfold, please stay with me. I will be giving y'all regular updates of how these wash and goes are coming to life. Is my hair growing? Is my hair thriving? Or is it starting to move into a season of split ends and single strand knots? And so I'm really going to do my due diligence and document the whole journey for y'all because I do know that wash and goes can have their issues. Curious to hear from y'all. Has a curly cut been the unlock for you with wash and goes or how that has worked for you? I'm still a big proponent of curly cuts. I mean, make sure you're maintaining your hair and cutting it in between if that's what your hair needs. But curly cuts, y'all, are like the chef's kiss for the overall look of your style. So anyway, I'll die on that hill. So like fighting on it. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.